The Advocates for Human Rights, in collaboration with the Sana Foundation, would like to thank the independent expert on Haiti for his recent report highlighting the situation in Haiti, particularly that relating to gender equality, discrimination against women and girls, and children's rights. We encourage the government of Haiti to continue supporting the mandate of the independent expert and his important work. We especially appreciate the attention drawn to the high number of children who are not enrolled in or do not finish high school. In light of this situation and the exploitation of children in domestic servitude, the Advocates for Human Rights calls for expanded national and international support for programs like the Sana Foundation's Haitian Initiative, as an example of technical cooperation and capacity building in Cité Soleil, where the children are often homeless, parentless, and impoverished. They face extreme hunger, gang violence, and susceptibility to disease. We invite the government of Haiti to examine the Haitian Initiative, which uses football training to motivate Cité Soleil youth to stay in school, secure passing grades, and build leadership skills as a promising practice model to promote child literacy and the right to education. We also appreciate the attention drawn to the need to prioritize women's rights and reduce gender inequality. There is an urgent need to repeal discriminatory provisions against women, including those in the criminal and civil codes, and adopt new provisions to ensure women's equality and criminalize spousal rape, domestic violence, and sexual harassment. The Advocates for Human Rights encourages further dialogue over the noting of key recommendations to eliminate violence against women in all its forms, and encourage support for technical cooperation with NGOs, such as the Advocates for Human Rights, through the reform of laws in accordance with best practice standards, regular monitoring and documentation, training for all system actors, and continued support for civil society. Lastly, the Advocates for Human Rights and Sana Foundation support the continuation of the mandate and the important work of the independent expert. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Advocates for Human Rights thanks the Human Rights Council for its ongoing concern about the human rights situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, including recent election-related repression and increased violence by both state actors and armed groups. With the help of pro bono attorneys, the Advocates for Human Rights provides free legal services to hundreds of asylum seekers each year. We serve many clients from the DRC who have been forced to flee the human rights abuses. Our Congolese clients have shared with us firsthand accounts that corroborate the continued violence and serious crimes, including sexual violence committed against civilians by both armed groups and state agents, including security forces and police. Our clients from the DRC share their stories of abduction, arrest, detention, interrogation, and torture, including kicking, whipping, beating with batons, rape, and prolonged deprivation of food and water. Our clients also report that the situation in the DRC has gotten much worse for those who are actively involved with opposition parties, as well as organizations working to end sexual violence and recruitment of child soldiers in the DRC. They describe threats, intimidation, arrests, detention, and restrictions on their movement in violation of their rights to peaceful assembly, opinion, and expression. The Advocates for Human Rights calls on the Human Rights Council to continue to monitor the security situation in the DRC. The international community should support justice mechanisms that ensure the investigation, prosecution, and punishment of human rights violations and serious crimes in the DRC. Further, the government of the DRC should take immediate steps to begin implementing measures from the agreement to hold elections in 2017, including releasing detained political leaders, civil society activists, and journalists. Thank you.
Mr. President, laws, their interpretation and implementation are far from static. As highlighted in Section 18 of the Vienna Declaration, women's equal status and human rights must be a priority for all states and actors. At the Advocates for Human Rights, we see the importance in our daily work with global partners to monitor laws intended to protect human rights. In our work on violence against women, we see laws of some countries still fail to incorporate best practices or to implement them adequately. In Morocco, women who report rape risk prosecution for illicit sexual transactions. To bring a complaint for domestic violence, women must have a certificate that they suffered physical injuries causing 20 days of disability. In Poland, the structure and implementation of its laws regarding protective orders fail to secure the safety and security of victims. Aggressors are not restrained from approaching victims, are not removed from households, and the shelter system is woefully inadequate, leaving women who report violence at the mercy of their aggressors. The Advocates for Human Rights encourages members of the Human Rights Council to urge member states to work with civil society to incorporate and maintain best practices into their laws. We urge member states to regularly monitor the implementation of their own laws to avoid unintended consequences, assure their laws' goals are fulfilled, and safeguard fundamental human rights.
For Human Rights and Development.